Welcome to Grow Overload. I'm Anthony, and here we go with marketing again. And if you've listened to any of my other videos on marketing, whether that be from AMD, Intel, Nvidia, or anybody else, I kind of have a beef with a lot of it as it comes out as crazy talk a lot of times. You know, before we just jump in and start looking at what Intel said here with the core truths, is, marketing a lot of times, I get you're trying to sell something, but when you put out like just the truthful information of what actually is happening, sometimes that's the best information and it works the best and people don't make fun of you for it. That's really it. I mean, AMD did all this. I get that naming schemes can be stupid a lot of times. Both Intel and AMD are very good at that. But just going after somebody for their naming is not going to probably be the best bet when your own naming isn't there. We can all agree that maybe naming could be cleaned up. Maybe somebody that's been outside working in it, not so close to what their processor are inside the company, but outside might have a better take on naming usually. But yeah, Intel, let's just jump into this and let's dive in. So Intel has these core truths, and I've downloaded their core truths Q4 2023 PDF. This is on Intel site, so I'll post a link. But the Intel goes through and does this, and now you'll see Intel has there's a long history of selling half truths to unsuspecting customers. Are they talking about their products? you know, if your house isn't already clean here, Intel, don't just start spewing this stuff. I think half the, there's these articles out and this, half of it is just like, come on, you've done this in the past. Intel, it's kind of funny. And they're trying to sell processors, right? They're trying to go after AMD here, and here we have it, right? AMD trust me like new, and this is their core truth one. The Ryzen 5 7520U is built on an outdated Zen 2 architecture, released in 2019. Okay, has has Intel ever done this before? Yeah. Taking an older architecture, released it with a new one? Yeah, they have. In fact, their Wikipedia page is full of that. So I just don't see where they're mixing architectures and everything else. It's, I'm just like, yeah, if you've never done this before, fine. But I believe even in their new core architecture, which they're going to be releasing here, the Core 100 architecture, isn't there like there's gonna be Meteor Lake based ones and there's gonna be Raptor Lake refresh CPUs in that same core. There's gonna be like Core and then Core Ultra, and one's gonna be one architecture, another one's gonna be this different architecture, and they're both gonna be in the 100 class. I, and if that's the case, did anyone run this by their marketing beforehand? Like, I, I, it's I don't know, Intel, like, why are you doing stuff like this? It's just oh you know and I've gone after everybody for their poor marketing. I think AMD was the last one I went after, and I was thinking about doing a Intel one, but here we go. I said I'll wait until Intel does something, and lo and behold, guess what? They've done it. you know It is. I don't like how they are, doing this older style architectures. But I will say this, there is, if we go into Core Truth 2, so Intel's going into something with performance. Their performance is with this Ryzen 5 7020U. Granted, it's for more of, it seems like it's going to be more of an entry class, so for laptops to just get in, it's trying to lower that price to barrier, which, by the way, I'm a fan of lowering prices of things to having lower barrier to entry so people can get into the platform, get a device. If this is going to hold some people out, maybe somebody that doesn't have as much money, and this is just another aspect that they're, able to jump in and actually have a device to be able to use it. at a lower price point, and otherwise they would not be able to do that, and they would be at a struggle to get something more performant. I can't say that this isn't a bad idea from AMD. I mean, Intel's has stuff of lower performance. Heck, that's probably why they actually had mixed cores and stuff, or mixed architectures before on, different processor nodes in the past, is to be able to have and deliver a product for a better price point so that people can be able to actually buy a device. Is that a bad thing? Intel, in the end of the day, Intel wants to sell more processors. And obviously, since they're focusing on mobile here, they're feeling some heat from AMD in that sector. And they came out with these core truths to kind of combat that. And, they're running one sort of benchmark here. What is it? Core mark or something. It was in there. It's, one of these standardized, cross-platform, cross-mark is what it's called. Cross-benchmarking platforms, fine. I usually like these cross-platform, these kind of benchmarks, as you take it with a grain of salt. How accurate are they cross platforms? How good are they across platforms? You get kind of a little worried depending upon the numbers and everything else and how it's implemented. I mean, my background's in software, and so in developing software, so I always take a lot more grain of salt with it than probably most. But it's something here that Intel is going through. And then the core truth to AMD's old architecture is hidden in plain sight. Now, I have a question. Uh, is it really hidden if they're telling you what it is? This is, I think, where Intel goes a little awry in this one, right? Is that the architecture, right, is right there specified in that third digit, which I have to say is pretty commendable overall. I would rather Intel, AMD, NVIDIA, if they're going to use an older architecture, and we've seen this in GPUs a lot of refreshes, or sometimes other architectures down the line may not get refreshed or upper, something like that, right? This would be this is a lot nicer having that 4 in there to tell you, oh, is it Zen 2? Is it Zen 1? Is it Zen 3? Zen 5, right? Whatever it is. Zen 800 or 80, well, I guess they'll be done by that time once they go 2 digits. But Zen 9, whatever it is, right? And I'm just picking random numbers here. But that's a lot better than not. I mean, would you rather this just be, this 7200 and you have to guess? Like they're trying to hit that Ryzen 5 at this architecture, maybe to get in there. I'd rather have it sitting there as somebody to be able to see, up, yep, that makes sense. This is somebody asked me, hey, does this laptop look good? I'm looking at this price point. This is what we're looking at. I want something with a pretty latest thing. I'm willing to spend this much. Here's what I found real quick, and that's a 7620. And I can quick look at it. No, that's a little bit older architecture. I think for what you want, maybe something a little bit newer. Another person, goes to me and, says, hey, I'm just looking for something cheap. I saw this, Ryzen 7520U or whatever. I'm just looking for something cheap. I need something to work. This was a good price. And do you think that this is a pretty good one? Let's say I'm on the go. I'm just trying to look at stuff, and I know with AMD's, product lineup of how this is, there we go. It's in the same family. So the family, I believe, is a year of release from AMD, right? Fine. Intel does dumb stuff too in their naming. Like I said, naming is naming, right? They probably should run it by somebody that is, kind of trying to make something a little bit more methodical with naming. But we go into some of these processors that Intel had in the past. Let's name. Should we name some of them off for you, Intel? How about the 8500Y, 8550U, the 8557U, the 8559U, the 8565U, and they, a lot of those, and those are all i7s with different architectures. Some were KB Lake, some were Amber Lake, some were Whiskey Lake, some were Coffee Lake. Okay, and tell you, should we go on? that whole series with even with different graphics on them. Oh, wait. And that was a little bit harder to deal with than what you had. And this is why you don't go and create a marketing thing like this, Intel. You just don't. Um, you say, hey, here's our numbers based upon this with what we think is going to be an equivalent processor. We're winning. And that's why we think that you should buy ours. We think that we deliver something a little bit better, can future-proof you a little bit more for how long you're going to use this laptop. Done. Use your device. Instead, you just come out with this stuff and you're just, and you have people like me going, you could have did so much better and not screwed up. But you know, if it wasn't for Intel marketing, I wouldn't be, and all marketing teams, you know, Intel marketing, we go to uh, NVIDIA, AMD, you know, they keep me being able to talk about something and we'd be able to laugh at it. So I can't really fault them because if they ever got their act together, I wouldn't be able to do this. So the future of education and learning depends upon the latest technology. Can anyone else hear bells of the future of our pocketbooks and our shareholders depends upon the latest technology that we deliver? That's all I hear. I mean, I in college, you know, I was using a slightly older technology than what it was. You know, I went for software development, and the laptops that we had access to were older processors, not the top of the line, not the best processors for it, and they were slow and everything else, a little bit slower than what we all really wanted, and we found ways to, well, try to make them faster whenever possible, but they were more, you know, workstation style type stuff that were older because the price was, you know, better on them, especially for college and everything else. So this whole notion is just whatever. I mean, a lot of development areas in school, like I went for software development, right? And a lot of that stuff is not always on the cutting edge. You know, one, the students got to afford it. If not, the school's got to afford it. And then they have to give access to it. And it's kind of funny here, right? Um, you know, to meet students' wide range of needs. What's that top one right there? Yeah, students are spending 50 grand to play esports. Yeah, plus 100 grand to play esports in college. That's what these devices are for, is esports. Intel, I don't know who did this, but your top one is esports. Yes, they may play esports, but your top one, yeah, we're going to school for learning, and esports is it. I mean, it's. You couldn't have made it better. We're going to talk about education, the future needs of students, the future and learning, and we're going to put these. Oh, these. I'm sorry. It's one of those things where you can't have the slide like 2 slides down, just blow your whole thing about learning and education out of the water. And programming coding in I3, man, have they ever done any coding? I get it. Basic programs might be fine with that, but stuff I'm using, if we're on that low stuff, it's going to take days to build. It's just, yeah. Okay. So, uh, yeah. Oh man, this is something else. Now let's go to the core truth number 4. Not all cores give you the best overall performance, and then they go into this. And you know what? Intel, fine. You know, I get it. The Zen 2 core is not good as the Zen 3 or the Zen 4 core or even the future Zen 5 core. And even your, you know, 12th gen products are probably better than the Zen 5. We know, or the Zen 2 core. We know that they've been out, you know, longer, and it's a older process. But you've done some of the same things, and I have a question for you, Intel. Does that mean that your performance cores are maybe not as good as your P cores? Because if that's the case, you know, why aren't you giving the performance cores all the time? You know, there's stuff like this that you could easily, you know, been kind of a void here. And with these P cores and the E cores, that's combination, there is scenarios where if they're not on the best core, the best overall performance core. That true, Intel? Yeah, you're the one that says gone out there. It's the efficiency, it's not the performance. So again, Intel, these are just one of those things where I get where you're coming from. I get that you're trying to sell stuff, but the approach would have been a lot different if you were to just cut out all this junk and started to just give us the performance numbers and see, this will get, our products are giving you a better performance and giving you there. And by the way, Intel, the i3 and 305, right? A little bit better. You could be doing stuff like this, showing, hey, we are better in this cross-mark overall scores. Instead, you try to go and create some stupid slide deck that, and here's all the appendix with everything, going through it, the full plan. This is kind of some of the stuff they've looked at, and more on Crossmark and their benefits or whatever else. One click to run fast, fast runtime. I guess a lot of stuff I do is not fast run times, right? So I'm a little bit biased there. But even with my kids and doing stuff and watching them what they do, is the fastest time to run good? Probably you want, for me, for testing, I like to see a little bit longer run times, do a multiple of tests to get maybe a better feature set of what people may do, right? These are the sort of things, and I'll try to remember to post this link in the description below. But these are things that when you go through and you're creating a testing and being a super fast test to run isn't always a best test to run. It can test one aspect of stuff, but it's not always the best way to conduct a test in general. And I've done a lot of trying to get software tested to make sure it is there, and that's where you have different lengths of test. Um, I like to name things of being a better selling point for this crossmark would be we are trying to be a more complete test to be able to be a better representation of what is going on, and maybe that's what they should take a look at. And if it runs for 10 minutes, I get it, people want to be done in and out quick and to compare the scores, but if we're running a little bit longer and people are able to see, hey, it's actually doing something, actually trying to replicate a lot of different stuff, this might be a better option for them. So I hope that you all had a nice laugh with this Intel slide deck. I just can't believe what Intel decided to do here. I get that they're trying to sell more processors. I get that they're probably going to have this Core True stuff out, but you're giving AMD a lot of ammunition to kind of, you know, go a different route and be like, we're going to sell them, here's the performance. Here's some esports performance. Here's some other stuff against Intel's processors where you're on one aspect. I mean, your learning slide. Oh yeah, we have all this, and you didn't put NVIDIA in there for learning, right? AI learning. I bet you NVIDIA has something to say about that. It's just a poorly done marketing campaign, and really, Intel, you're. Well, I wish I could say you're better than this, but we all know that you're not at this point. And that's the really sad state of things. And so I hope that Intel will kind of, if they watch this, I hope they have a laugh, first and foremost. But just take it back and be like, you know what? We do have to focus on how good of a product we have rather than trying to take and be like, let's make some very bad marketing claims of stuff that we've done in the past and make us look better than that, right? And Intel, I I don't get it either, right? They just did this with like glued processors at Zen 1. Why, who would want a glued processor together? And lo and behold, what are they doing? It's just a repeat over and over again. It's sad to see. Maybe they have to get new marketing at some point or new leadership in marketing. But I hope that you all enjoyed this. Had a fun time with Intel's marketing, and I'm sure somebody else will have some fun marketing we get to go and make fun of again here real soon. And with that, hopefully we can all enjoy it and have a laugh at that point too. But I do appreciate everyone here supporting the channel and helping the channel grow. I really appreciate it, watching the channel grow and seeing it grow, because that it does help me out, and that's one of the things I like to see. And so with that, I hope that you will like, subscribe, share the video, hit the bell icon. That does help out the channel a lot. And until next time, God bless.